friends, this is Jazz bringing you another, a new video. It's sort of a review, but not. It's going to be kind of a chatty vlog review because, and hopefully I'm going to keep it as short and sweet as possible. It's going to be about Bridge to Terabithia. Mainly what I like the best, comparing the two movies, maybe bring in some info about the books and stuff. I watched the original Bridge to Terabithia lately, and I saw bits and pieces in the review from the Nostalgia Critic of the new one. Now, I haven't fully watched the first one, so I can't be 100% honest, but I'm being as honest or as informative as I can. Let's just say the way to start the topic. I enjoy the original Bridge to Terabithia better, even without watching the new movie. One big thing, and I might go into it a little bit, is we'll just give you a little bit of information about the new one first. It obviously is the same thing, but with a lot more whimsy. Yeah, maybe a little too much whimsy. In the movie, they don't feel, well, Leslie anyway does not feel real. She feels like this made-up plastic Barbie doll or this Disney product thrown into everyone's faces. She just seems perfect. She doesn't seem like a kid. That's one thing in the original Bridge to Terabithia that stands out. The acting isn't very good on Jess's part, anyway. Or Julian, I forget the last name. I apologize, but his name was Julian. The one who acted as Leslie was Julie, like in the original. In the new one, it is Josh Hutcherson and Anna Sophia Robb. Now, I think Josh Hutcherson did fine. He was believable as a child, trying to be a child. I mean, he's seen the same stupid things Leslie did, but she was the one who was just all eccentric. And, eccentric's a nice word. I know that's a, you know what I mean. She was, I don't think she had almost any other emotion except for happiness and excitability. She was a little bit nonchalant or a little bit somber when she was talking about Janice and how she was being beat. But that didn't last long. I mean, it lasted all but 20-30 seconds, then I'll give her a piece of gum. And it ruined the whole mood of everything. I know those scenes. In the original Bridge to Terabithia, it doesn't really show any of what Leslie and Jess are seeing. Which, despite what you may think, is very effective. It shows that they're using their own imaginations and only they can see their little worlds, and the world's just for them. Which makes it special, and it makes it special and magical, and it shows the sense of being a kid. Now, yes, it might be all bright and flashy when you see the CGI beast and the troll. The graphic, it's polished-wise, the new one is a lot more polished. It has a lot more. It does have better acting in some parts, but the character is written wrong in Leslie, I think. In the original, Leslie was portrayed as a tomboy. All sense of the word. Not just her looks, her character. She didn't mind getting scruffy. She didn't mind defending herself. She wanted to do what the others did, with the race. She wasn't afraid to get physical. She would, for example, in the original movie, it was a tree they crossed and not a rope. They didn't use a rope. So she would always be the one that was more athletically inclined of her and Jess. In the new one, sure, she didn't wear a fancy dress, but she wore all colorful clothes, which a girl could wear it. She was just a non-dress girl. She had personality, and she could still be tough and competitive, yet sure, but she, it wasn't, she wasn't afraid to be herself. She wasn't afraid to be herself. She wasn't afraid to be, 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 she wasn't afraid to she was more girly than the original Leslie. Like, Leslie could be moody in the original. She could be mad, she could be sad, you could see emotion in her. She was a person. In the new Leslie, is what it felt like all the time. Like Jess Hutcherson did very well as Jess, and I respect him for that. The father in the new one was great. You could see more of a character build in him. I mean, there are some things the new one did right, like the death scene. Yes, we all know she dies, so we'll just spoil that anyway. Is handled very maturely in there. A lot more built up. Like, I'll make a little character perspective here between the two and the death scene. In the original Bridge to Terabithia, she dies. He's like, no, you're not, stop fooling me or whatever. You're lying. And then the famous line, you lie! Like, that is like one of the worst pieces of acting. Besides Tommy Wiseau, I insert him here. Next to Tommy Wiseau, that was one of the worst given lines I've ever seen in my life. But besides the point, he runs off. His father goes right after him. They embrace. After that, he has a bit of somberity at school, and he is comforted by his teacher. I think Miss Myers. I don't know. I forget who she is in this one, because it's a new one. And after that, she pretty much is done. Like, he does go and see Leslie's parents, right? And they show grieving pretty well. So it just was really fast, right? It was really fast paced, and you knew it happened, but it was forgettable. I mean, you were sad because you got to know Leslie as a character, but it didn't stick long enough. And the new one, however, she dies. He locks himself in his room. There's some go-ons at school. He punches a bully for saying something so distasteful. Okay, imagine you lost someone. And then they said, oh, I guess you're the best at this now, huh? And I know that sounds weird, but imagine if that other person that died was better at you than at this certain thing beforehand. Like, the bully literally goes out and says, well, I guess you're the fastest runner in the class now, huh? Really? Leslie threw punches, which that bully deserved. I think his name was Billy. I cannot remember exactly. He gets a talk from his teacher, which again is comforting. Like, she knows what he's going through. Which, in the original, that scene never took place. Well, the teacher scene did, but the reason, like, how do I put it? The teacher scene, it just happens. She goes up and she talks to him. She sees he's sad, she talks to him. That was it. It didn't show that it showed emotions, but it didn't show that big emotion Jess went through by punching the bully. He also pushes his sister and runs off into the forest. Then the popular father scene happens, where he goes and he comforts his son. That is far more effective, guys. Like, that is one thing that the new one had right. It built up a lot more. You could see what Jess was going through. And it wasn't over-romanticized, too, like that other movie, where it showed him, and I forgot to mention the whole him dreaming about talking with her and stuff. That happened in the book as well, actually. So, let us say that they did it right with the build-up of the father character, the death, everything to do with the death for the most part, because he was tripped and there was a lot of other things that happened. But just, guys, the original Bridge to Terabithia, though the acting and the effects in that are almost nothing, in fact, it's not even a 60-minute movie, it's memorable. Like, the characters are built up for the most part. I mean, the only other thing I think went wrong with the old movie was Jess's father. He was great. He was comforting to him, but the only scene you see almost him in before. Oh no. There's only 2 or 3 scenes you see him after. One, when he tells about what happens about Leslie with the death. 2, he was with him when they were talking to the Burkes. And 3, when he's milking Bessie late. There's really no development for the father. In fact, he goes pretty much from, oh, you're milking late? It seemed like whatever. He didn't say whatever, but it felt like that. He wasn't mad, despite what his mother made it sound like. Then it goes from that to, it's okay, and they're there or something, right? So there's really no development between phases, right? In the new one, he is built up better. So that the new one has, but I still think that for the fact that it's so realistic of kids being kids, like there's no literal fantasy world that we see. It's just a fort built that says Terabithia, and so only Jess and Leslie and later Maybelle see this, and it's so effective that we see them as kids. We see them have real problems, right? Where we did it in the other. The worst problem that they had, I think, was Jess getting kicked off the bus because of Janice Avery, and Janice Avery not letting the kids to the bathroom without paying. And that was just handled in a scene. I mean, really? Free the pee? Really? Like, it just seemed too silly. And the whole way that it was built up, the atmosphere, they shouldn't have updated it. They should have kept it like it was in the 70s. I know this is a new era, but that made the kids even worse in comparison. Perhaps if this was built like the other Bridge of Terabithia or the book, then the personality of Anna Sophia Robb's Leslie wouldn't be as out of place, because the 70s, I guess, they're all more well behaved for like in some places, but they just seem too good for modern day kids. I mean, the bully was the tad exception, but even the bully was watered down to what a bully could have been. Just too good. I mean, I suppose the bully in the original is still more watered down. He just isn't shown. Actually, he isn't shown as much, so you don't really see him. I think the best portrayal of him would probably be the book. If anything, I would get my portrayal from that. But like, just all in all, everything in the original Bridge of Terabithia outshines the other, except for the acting, and the effects, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but for the reason of it being memorable, realistic, I really would prefer that new, or the old Bridge to Terabithia. So guys, if you enjoyed my analogy of it, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel and you like what you see, please subscribe. It would help me a lot, and I will see you guys in my next video.